Young Lucas Ryan steps up to the altar with a sword said to belong to Vulcanus, the fire god. The moment the blade touches the altar, the sky changes color and the crowd holds its breath, sure a great blessing is coming. Instead, flames erupt around Lucas. His soul is scorched, the sword burns to ash, and Lucas collapses unresponsive as Julia cries and their father begs for answers. At the same time, in another world, our boy who has already lost his father keeps getting pushed around, but he still lives for his mother and little sister. On his way home, Truk Kun hits him and he feels himself fading out. With blood on the road, he makes one last wish. If there is a next life, let him protect the people he loves with his own hands. That soul leaves his body and enters Lucas's broken one. In Vulcanus's domain, the fire god rages about the unforgivable sword, then sneers that the foreign soul is trash and not worth burning again. But in the martial god's domain, the spirits react differently. They see Lucas as their duty and fire the martial god's blessing into him like a weapon. They push it too far, granting the highest blessing and even breaking the old level limit. Lucas wakes with two lives colliding in his mind, terrified he will be cast aside as a child abandoned by the gods. Then Julia rushes in, hugs him tight, and cries that everyone said he would never wake up. Lucas pats her head, steadies his breathing, and makes a quiet vow. Since he has been given another chance, he will protect what's precious, no matter what. To do this, Lucas looks into the sky, letting the martial god know that he is counting on him for help. Meanwhile, a certain demon that was turned into a statue suddenly comes back to life after she senses that the martial god is no longer present in this world. Blood drips down her body as she tries to regain her strength, and she realizes that she has just a little power left. Nonetheless, she doesn't mind because she is pretty sure that the world belongs to her and her emissaries as long as the martial god is no longer active. 9 years later, Lucas is seen at the family's estate. He is on his way to pick up his sister from training when he is ambushed. A thorn vine suddenly grabs onto him, and he immediately figures out the only person capable of this, and that person is Jeremy. Jeremy Ryan is the Ryan family's fourth child, and he is a magic student who received a level 5 blessing, basically making him Lucas's half-brother. Even Jeremy's attendant makes fun of Lucas, talking about how he has not been kicked out of the house yet. Jeremy then tells Lucas to stop coming to the backyard, saying it is reserved for the family members who can use magic. Jeremy even threatens to break a few of his bones so he can learn not to come to the backyard again. As he tightens the vine, Lucas screams out, telling Jeremy that his sister's magic practice is finished and she will be back soon. Lucas suggests that Jeremy let him go if he doesn't want to get charred. Jeremy is scared, but at the same time he makes fun of Lucas for relying on his sister to protect him. Jeremy tries to act tough, saying he is not scared of lightning, and he hasn't finished saying this when he gets struck by lightning, causing him to scream in pain before getting knocked to the ground. His attendant screams out in panic, and just then, Julia appears in the distance. Julia holds out her magic staff, telling Jeremy that she won't hold back the next time he bullies her brother. Julia then uses her magic to strip the vines off her brother's body. While patting his sister for doing a good job, Jeremy finally manages to get back on his feet. Lucas mocks him, telling him to learn his lesson now so he doesn't suffer the same fate next time. Jeremy and his attendant then run off, but he tells Lucas that he is going to remember how he was humiliated. Lucas smiles, telling Julia that she truly held back because Jeremy still has the strength to run. After their departure, Julia asks Lucas why he didn't fight back because she knows that he can defeat Jeremy on his own. Lucas then reminds Julia that his true strength remains a secret between the two of them. In addition, he teases her sister, telling her that she will be the one to protect him, and Julia affirms this with a smile on her face. Lucas then narrates what happened the first day he woke up 9 years ago. Apparently, his father came to visit him, and even though he was already scared that he would be kicked out of the house for betraying their expectations, this wasn't the case because his father hugged him, thanking the gods that he woke up safely. It turns out that Holt leads a night order and he is always on the move, which is why he rarely gets the time to watch over the children at home. However, he is still a good father who cares deeply about his son and the others. When Holt learned that Lucas had started martial arts training, he immediately sent him a letter filled with all the information he was going to need. Holt told Lucas that there are old books about martial arts in the library, and let him know that he is rooting for him. Because of this letter, Lucas carried out a rather bold plan. Over the next 6 months, Lucas dug beneath his room, and he created a secret training ground, while the attendants were always wondering where he disappeared to. While digging the basement, everyone just assumed that someone was practicing earth magic. The basement he dug was divided into 4 areas: the study area, the training area, the storage area, and a makeshift bathroom. Because he had spent all of his money getting equipment for the other areas, Lucas could only get a bathtub for the bathroom. After he completed the training ground, he secretly devoted himself to training every single day. It turns out that he has an act of soaking himself in medicinal baths, which is considered the most efficient training method. Over the course of 3 years, he trained on a reference book called Chaos Tempering Arts that he found in the library. Thanks to this, he has gotten so strong that even level 5 magical attacks have nothing on him. He figures out that his defense has taken on a nice shape, and for his offense, Lucas decides to try out his skills. He whips out his sword, and with blinding speed, he delivers several cuts to his training dummy. He also trains with the spear, and using this, he shatters the training dummy thanks to his overpowered spear techniques. It turns out that he has reached the level of spear techniques already, and after this, he practices his fist techniques. Over the course of 9 years, he has been improving, but he has one particular concern. According to the books he has read on martial arts, when one reaches a certain level of ability, one is said to hit a ceiling, and the only way to break through this limitation is to gain enlightenment. However, gaining enlightenment is pretty difficult, which is why many practitioners have given up. This is also the reason why there are almost no practitioners of martial arts, which should be in no way inferior to magic. However, Lucas is different, and he shows this by tearing apart a big sack of sand with just a single punch. Thanks to how dedicated he is, his fist techniques have also hit level 5, and it appears that there is no ceiling for Lucas because his levels keep rising smoothly. Basically, all of his techniques are on the rise, and he believes that this is all thanks to the martial god's blessing. After training that day, Lucas remembers that his father is coming home that very day, and they are going to have dinner together as a family. After he has washed up, he joins the family at the dining table. His father welcomes him with a smile, saying it's been 6 months since they last saw each other. He urges him to take a seat, and Lucas calmly walks to his seat while Jeremy is fuming where he is. Holt then mentions that the Allen Magic School is opening a martial arts department, and as a special measure, his father has already applied for him. Holt admits that martial arts is difficult, but he believes that his son can do it, and Holt urges Lucas to prepare well for next week's entrance exam. Lucas smiles, and he thanks his father for this opportunity. Deep down, Lucas has vowed that no matter what world he finds himself in, he is going to protect whatever is important to him. However, at the same time, he is trying so much not to stand out because he doesn't want to attract trouble. Suddenly, Julia raises her hand, telling her father that she wants to enter the Allen Magic School with Lucas. Holt commends his daughter for having such a great attitude, but he lets her know that she is still 11 years old and she is not old enough to enroll. Julia then reveals that there is an elite course at the school and it has no restrictions. Julia whips out the letter she received from the school, telling her that she can take the elite course. Holt is surprised to hear this, but at the same time, he understands that Julia's reputation must have reached the school. Lucas's mother smiles beautifully, saying it appears that a great mage will be born from the Ryan family in the near future. This causes Julia to laugh out loud, while Jeremy is left fuming really hard. Their father then tells the two that he wishes that they both pass the exam. Jeremy is pissed that Lucas is getting special treatment when there is nothing special about him. Just then, his mother, Jessica, touches him, telling him to calm down because he has nothing to worry about, since there is no assurance that Lucas will pass the exam. 1 week later, Lucas and Julia prepare to leave for the academy. His mother urges him to take care of himself, and she assures him that she will come visit him once he settles down in school. She also gives Lucas the lucky coin that his father gave him. Apparently, the coin is from the Martial Fortune dynasty that unified the world about 10,000 years ago. Holt revealed that he obtained the coin after he defeated a magical beast, and the front of the coin bears the image of the first emperor, Mars, and on the back is engraved the weapons that he once used. When Lucas saw this back then, he realized that Mars is the martial spirit god. As he departs, Holt tells Lucas to always keep the coin with him. Lucas considers himself pretty lucky because he is blessed with a good family in his present life and also in his past life. Several hours after their departure, the butler, Forden, suggests that they camp in the nearest clearing because the sun will set soon. While they are resting and preparing to eat, the butler tells them that they are going to reach Dacktown, where the school is located, by nightfall the next day if they leave early in the morning. Julia is surprised to hear this, and she asks Forden if there is anything interesting in Dacktown. Forden lets her know that there is something to look out for because Dacktown is famous for the magical dodgeball tournament held every spring. In addition, he mentions that the town is famous as a gourmet town. When Julia hears this, she is already drooling because she imagines herself eating everything she wants. Suddenly, Lucas's senses kick into action and he realizes that 12 horses and 13 people are approaching them at high speed from 2 kilometers away. Lucas then asks Forden if bandits usually appear in the area, and Forden confirms this, but says the possibility of running into them is low. It turns out that Lucas is able to sense the danger thanks to the chaos tempering arts. Thanks to the incredibly sharp senses that he now has, he knows that he is not making a mistake. He analyzes the situation and realizes that they are greatly outnumbered, so he has to handle the situation very carefully. Lucas then gets on his feet, telling Forden that they need to prepare because a mysterious group is heading towards them at an incredible speed. The two soldiers with them are surprised because everywhere is pretty quiet, and they just assume that Lucas is messing around. Even Forden is surprised to hear this, but he still grabs his sword, telling the others to prepare their weapons. Even though Fordon is a bit skeptical, he believes that it is better they are cautious than be sorry later. Moments later, bandits arrive on the scene, and this is when the soldiers realize that Lucas wasn't lying. The bandit leader excitedly rushes toward Lucas's group, talking about how they have found a new set of prey. They notice Julia and Lucas behind the soldiers and immediately deem the two as their targets. Forden angrily tells the bandits what happens when they touch nobles, but the bandit leader says he doesn't care. He then tells his boys to kill the soldiers and leave the kids alive. Fordon and the soldiers then prepare to engage the daring bandits. The soldiers are able to initially hold their own against the bandits. Fordon also decapitates a bandit that got too close to him and the kids. Even though Julia wanted to help, Fordon tells her to leave the fight to him. Fordon and the soldiers continue pushing back the bandits. But to avoid any real issue, Fordon tells Lucas to escape with Julia. Suddenly, the soldiers get roasted by a mage's power. It turns out that the bandit leader is a mage, and this ultimately ruins whatever strategy Fordon initially has. Fordon becomes scared for the safety of the kids, and he screams at Lucas, telling him to escape with Julia into the forest. In that short moment of distraction, Fordon gets cut in the chest by one of the bandits, immediately reducing his efficiency. The bandit leader then tells Fordon that he is going to burn him alive for killing his comrade. However, Fordon is not scared, as he is ready to lay down his life as long as it means protecting Julia and Lucas. Meanwhile, Lucas has realized that there is no way Fordon would be able to win against the bandits because of the mage. Even though Lucas is willing to keep his abilities hidden, he remembers that Fordon has been the kindest to him, aside from his parents. Because of how nice Fordon is to him, Lucas now considers him family. And since he is family, Lucas decides that he cannot sit around and let his family be killed. Lucas then tells Julia to hide while he helps Fordon, and Julia affirms the instruction. Lucas then makes his move, and even though he is outnumbered, Fordon is still holding his own against the bandits. Just then, Fordon gets exhausted, and he crashes to his knees. One of the bandits appears from behind and leaps toward Fordon to impale him with his sword, but he suddenly loses his head out of nowhere. The bandits are shocked to see this, but before they know it, more of their comrades become headless from a high-speed projectile. No one knows where the projectiles are coming from, and, unknown to them, it is all Lucas is doing. Lucas is glad that he already upgraded his Gale Strike skill to level 4 while he was playing around, hitting flying birds with stones. Thanks to this, he knows that killing a mere level 1 bandit with a pebble is nothing but child's play. Pissed about how his comrades were all killed in an instant, the bandit leader raises his staff and fires off a large fireball at Fordon to finish him. Fordon can see the attack coming straight for him, but he is already too tired to dodge, and he also believes that a strange helper has shown up to protect the kids, so he can finally rest. Just then, Lucas appears before the fireball hits, and he cancels it out, shocking Fordon, who never thought Lucas was this powerful. The bandit leader is also stunned to see his magic canceled so easily. However, he believes that he still has time to fire off another shot, but Lucas lets him know that he has reached the end of the road, and he tears him to pieces with a powerful blow to his chest. After taking down the bandit leader, Fordon is left questioning everything he just witnessed. He considers Lucas being able to kill a high-level mage a totally unprecedented event. However, Lucas just turns around to smile at the old man, telling him that it appears he has talent for martial arts. Fordon is still celebrating with Lucas when they sense something sinister behind them. The piece of the bandit leader's body suddenly starts to transform into an ugly-looking creature that looks pretty dangerous. Seeing how terrifying the monster looks, Lucas concludes that he has to take it out as fast as he can because he can't allow Julia to see it. Lucas wastes no time leaping toward the monster, and he lands a punch, but it does absolutely no damage to the monster. The monster then launches a counterattack by hurling spikes at Lucas, forcing him to jump backwards. Surprisingly, the monster starts feeding on the bandits' dead bodies to power itself. Lucas wonders what sort of monster it is, and by using his all-seeing eyes, he is able to see the insignia controlling the monster. Before he knows it, the monster has grown to be a giant monster on all fours, and since physical attacks won't work on the monster, Lucas decides to try something else. Lucas imbues himself with explosive chi before lunging at the monster and delivering a powerful strike. This leaves a bright golden light that totally swallows the monster up and destroys whatever core is controlling it. After taking out the monster, Lucas sits down to catch his breath, and Julia comes rushing over to hug her big brother. Julia praises his brother, telling him how amazing he is for defeating the bad guys. Fordon, on the other hand, is left stunned because he can't even understand what just happened. Just then, one of the bandits' horses starts neighing, catching their attention. They turn around to see a girl who has been tied up on the horse, shocking them. Meanwhile, the demon from 9 years ago is getting stronger, and she just got the signal that one of her emissaries has been defeated. She wonders who might have defeated the dude, but she decides not to worry herself too much about this, because she is more focused on recovering her power. Back at the scene, Julia learns that the girl they just rescued is Maya Rasta. When Forden hears the Rasta name, he mentions that he has heard it somewhere before, and Julia also says the same. Lucas then mentions that both the Rasta and Ryan families are nobles living near Dacktown. Julia confirms this, saying Lucas is right. Julia then asks Maya why she was attacked by bandits, and with tears in her eyes, she narrates her ordeal. Apparently several hours ago, bandits suddenly appeared and attacked her carriage, killing all of her guards. Even her maid tried to protect her, but she ended up suffering a terrible fate. Maya mentions that all of her efforts to tell the bandits that she is a noble fell on deaf ears. In fact, it appears that their goal is to abduct noble children. Julia then comforts her, telling her that she has nothing to worry about because the bandits are now dead. Later that night, after the girls have slept, Lucas asks Forden what he thinks about what Maya said earlier. Forden then mentions that bandits are habitual offenders because it appears that they have been targeting noble children for a while. Lucas then tells Forden that a demon might be helping the bandits because it is weird enough that they can use magic and also control the dead. Forden then tells Lucas that he has nothing to worry about because he is going to report the matter to Holt. Forden believes that the Rasta family would also be open to helping them once they report the situation to her. Lucas lets Forden know that he has a suggestion to make to avoid trouble in the future. The following day they arrive at Dacktown, and Lucas tells Julia that there will be no sightseeing in the town to avoid trouble. Lucas says there might still be bandits in the area, and for safety's sake, it would be better if they go directly to the magic school. Julia is a bit disappointed, and Lucas tells her to understand the situation because it is for her safety and Maya's. Maya agrees with Lucas, but Julia remains in a bad mood. To please his sister, Lucas tells Julia that he is going to buy her everything she wants from the town's gourmet district once they pass through there. Julia is happy to hear this, and Maya is blown away by the closeness between the two. Forden then suggests that they open the window so that they can get a view of the town. Julia quickly agrees to this, and she is astounded by the beauty of the town. Even Maya talks about how lively the town is. Deep down, Lucas agrees with them because the town has the same atmosphere as the city he lived in during his past life. As they pass through the food center, Lucas buys his sister all the food that she wants, just as promised. Not long after this, they arrive at the academy's gate, and Forden lets them know that this is as far as he can go. Lucas tells Forden that he has nothing to worry about because he is going to protect Julia. Julia also jumps up in joy, telling Lucas that she is going to protect him too. Lucas eggs her on by telling her that he is counting on her. Lucas is left with tears in his eyes as he says farewell to the two. Maya, on the other hand, is pleased to have met Lucas and Julia because they appear to be two interesting siblings. In a quick revelation, Forden had told Lucas the night before that Maya was once his fiancée when they were younger. However, the engagement was called off after the incident that left Lucas talentless. When talking about the Allen Magic School, it is located south of Dacktown, and it is one of the three most prestigious schools in the Carmina Empire. All the new students are required to take an exam 1 year after their enrollment, and based on those results, they are divided according to their characteristics into the Earth Department, Fire Department, Wind Department, Water Department, and Special Department. If one studies at the academy for 6 years and graduates successfully, they can obtain a mage qualification. In addition, excellent students receive special treatment too. Also, students who pass the mage examination during their studies can graduate without having to stay until their 6th year. Meanwhile, Lucas and Julia are seen at the school plaza, and Julia expresses her disappointment that Maya has left. It turns out that she is reunited with her family, and Julia had initially thought they would be taking the exam together. Lucas, on the other hand, is pleased that Maya has reunited with her family because she is no longer in any danger. Lucas then tells Julia that if they all pass, they are going to see each other every day as classmates, so she has nothing to worry about. This is enough to lift Julia's mood because she knows that Lucas is right. While running around the plaza, Julia catches the attention of basically everyone who sees her because of how young and cute she is. Not long after this, they run into Mina, the vice president of the school's student council. Mina looks cool, and she immediately becomes interested in Julia too. She then asks her if she followed her brother to the school, but Julia reveals that she is there to take the exam with her brother. Mina is shocked when she hears that Julia is there to take the entrance examination, and this tells her that she is the girl who was given the elite course. Mina immediately asks Julia if she is from the Ryan family, and this shocks Julia, who asks Mina how she knows who she is. Mina tells Julia that she is going to find out soon enough, and she suggests that she follows her so that she can lead her to the reception desk. Lucas is shocked to see that Mina didn't even say a single word to him, as if he were a walking ghost. It is Julia who then reminds Mina that her brother also wants to register. It finally dawns on Mina that she totally forgot about Lucas. Mina then turns around to nervously talk to Lucas about his interest in taking the martial arts department exam. The moment she says this, it catches the attention of the other students. They start talking trash behind Lucas about how he is an idiot for choosing martial arts. One even talks about how hilarious it is that Lucas came to a magic school to learn martial arts. Lucas is somewhat surprised that he is being looked down upon even in a magic school. He knows that mages believe that they are above martial arts, but in reality, they are just a bunch of weaklings. Lucas is pretty confident that no mage can stand toe-to-toe with him because they are all insects compared to him. In fact, Lucas knows that there is no reason for him to come to the school if not for the fact that his parents want him to come. At this point, Mina has realized that Lucas is getting backlash because of how loud she spoke. Mina then finds a way to fix her mistake by telling Lucas to follow her because, after the registration, she is going to lead him to the exam venue. Lucas is surprised to hear this, and he realizes that Mina is actually a nice person compared to the rest. Every other person who has looked down on Lucas is shocked to see Mina talking to him, casually. Moments later, Mina requests their registration forms, and after this, she gives the two their emblems. She adds that their examinee number is stored inside, and she urges them to wear it when entering the venue. Apparently, there are 3 test items in total. The first test is to measure their magical potential with magic light. The second one is the compatibility test, where they use spirits of different attributes to determine which elements suit the examinee. And then the last one is a test using dummy dolls to measure magical destructive power. Lucas then asks her if martial arts examinees follow the same process, and she says yes. Mina says all the departments follow the same process for fairness. However, Lucas doesn't think they were thinking about fairness when creating the tests, because they would have specifically created a test for the martial arts department. Nonetheless, Lucas is not worried, and he plans to show a bit of his power to dispel the students' prejudice against martial arts. Moments later, they make their way to the potential measurement area. The candidates are expected to place their hands on the magic light. When Lucas touches the light, his potential displays 0, which shocks even the examiner because this is a phenomenon that happens once every 1,000 years. This immediately sets Lucas up for a mocking session from the other students who are watching. However, Lucas is not really worried because he already expected this. Julia soon steps forward to touch the light, and it displays a bright purple light which represents a potential value of 7 out of 10. Even the examiner admits that Julia is going to be among the top of the year's examinees. While everyone else is surprised, Lucas is not really surprised because he knows what his sister is capable of. In fact, he knows that his sister is capable of more, and he tells her not to hold back. Julia acknowledges this and releases more mana into the orb, which immediately transforms into golden light, leaving everyone stunned. The examiner realizes just how talented Julia is because there was a student 2 years ago who also produced golden light, but she was much older than Julia. After Julia is done, she runs back to her brother with a big smile on her face, asking if she was amazing. Lucas pats her on the head, telling her that she is really amazing. Lucas even adds that she's going to become an archmage in the future. While the two are celebrating with each other, one of the candidates talks trash about Lucas, saying he is a talentless piece of trash who is a big brother to a genius mage. The dude's friend quickly covers his mouth, telling him to stop saying trash because they don't know what Lucas's sister might do if she hears. Lucas is pleased to hear this because everything is going the way he planned it. Lucas wants Julia to be in the limelight so he can lead a peaceful student life. Apparently, the past 3 years have been consistent efforts to enhance Julia's talent, and Lucas is glad that his efforts are paying off. Once everyone is done with the potential measurement, they are required to move to the spirit hut, and deep down, Lucas believes that the day to make his efforts bloom has finally come. The candidates are informed that they are going to undergo a compatibility test here. Just as expected, all of the spirits are swarming around Julia, shocking the other students. One of the students, who received a level 6 wind god's blessing, mentions his frustration that no wind spirit came to him during his test. Since all of the spirits are going toward Julia, they believe that this means she is compatible with all magical elements. It turns out that Lucas has a hand in what is happening, because he was the one who created a mage circulation technique skill for Julia, which has helped her raise her potential. Even though she is still level 2, Lucas knows that she has shown enough to pass the entrance exam. The examiner soon announces that Julia's compatibility is 90, which is the highest score among all examinees. The examiner thanks Julia for her success, and while she is still enjoying the compliment, she turns around to see the other students staring at her in such a bad way. Julia cannot handle this, and she rushes toward her brother, telling him that she is scared of how the other students are staring at her. Lucas then tells Julia that it can't be helped because she is a genius, and she is bound to receive a lot of bad looks. Lucas then tells her that she has nothing to worry about, and he urges her to get used to it. Julia then agrees with her brother, saying she has to become stronger so she can protect him. Deep down, Lucas is worried about his sister, and he figures out that he has to help her build a thick skin. While everyone is praising Julia and talking about her talent, they are also trash-talking Lucas for being talentless. Apparently, during Lucas's compatibility test, the spirits didn't even try to go near him because they were all disgusted. However, one of the students told his friend that something strange happened during this test. He tells his friend that after Lucas came out, one of the fire spirits lost its arm, which left him scared. When his friend heard this, he believed that he was seeing things because the spirits are tiny, and there is no way he would have seen a tiny hand flying off. Lucas is surprised to see that there was someone who actually saw what happened. It turns out that the dude was actually right because during the second test, the fire spirits displayed a bad attitude towards him, probably because he was rejected by the fire god. After the test, Lucas tried to leave, but one of the spirits decided to spit on him because it held a grudge. However, Lucas taught the spirit not to be arrogant by subtly tearing his arm off with a pebble. After they are done with the compatibility test, Lucas suggests that they head to the final testing area, and he asks Julia if she thinks she can take first place this time too. Julia humbly tells her brother that the first place is reserved for her as long as her brother doesn't go all out. Lucas smiles, telling Julia that he has no plan to go all out because he is planning for Julia to protect him. They soon arrive at the magic destructive power test venue, where there are several metal dummy dolls laid out for the test. Lucas overhears one of the students talking about how he plans to punch the doll with everything he has because he doesn't want Julia to take first place. Another dude mentions that there is a possibility of Julia totally destroying the doll, but the dude argues with this, saying it is impossible. The dude mentions that the dummy dolls are made of special metal with defensive magic, which means that they can withstand attacks below curse class. The dude is confident that Julia doesn't have what it takes to unleash said attack at her current age. Lucas takes a closer look at the dolls, and he admits that they look pretty sturdy, and he believes that it is his chance to test his level 6 skill. Lucas finally admits that it might have been a good decision to come to the school because he would get to play around with expensive equipment. Just then, Lucas hears some students behind them telling a girl, who just arrived, not to jump the line. The new girl activates her magic and stares at the leader of the protesters with such an overwhelming aura that fear creeps through her body. The new girl then walks over to Julia and Lucas, and she uses her mental magic on Julia, causing her to fear. Julia quickly hides behind Lucas, telling him that the new girl is scary. Lucas then asks the new girl who she is, and she replies that she is Iwa Miranda, granddaughter of Duke Miranda. The moment Lucas hears this, he figures out who she is. Apparently, the Miranda family is one of the three great houses of the Empire's northern region, and they are a clan that once produced a legendary mage. This basically means Iwa is the daughter of his mother's younger brother, Cyan Miranda. Once he knows who she is, Lucas asks Iwa how old she is, and she replies with a stern face that she is 15 years old. Lucas urges her to stop staring at him like a hawk because they are cousins. Iwa is shocked to hear this because she was never informed about having a cousin or cousins. She then decides to embarrass Lucas in front of everyone. She activates her mental magic, hoping to make Lucas shit his pants. But Lucas doesn't even budge, shocking her. Lucas scolds her for using mental magic on the family she is meeting for the first time. Lucas mocks her, asking her what type of education the Miranda family is providing. Iwa is shocked that her magic didn't work because this was basically her best magic, but Lucas easily tanked it. Deep down, Lucas is surprised that Iwa believes she can control a strong-willed martial artist with such flimsy magic. Not long after this, Lucas is called forward for his test. After Lucas's departure, Iwa turns to Julia, telling her not to get cocky because she is going to take first place in the test. When Lucas stares at the leaderboard, he realizes that Iwa is in second place, and this basically means she is there to declare war on Julia so she can get first place. Lucas then concludes that he has to interfere because he needs his peace and cannot let Julia lose the first place position. Lucas then goes back to Julia to give her what he claims is candy. Julia excitedly collects it, believing that it is going to be sweet. However, it turns out to be a medicinal pill, which is super bitter. Lucas pats Julia on the head, telling her that it is a special magic medicine, which is made with rare ingredients, and he assures her that she is going to understand its effects soon enough. The examiner is forced to call on Lucas again, telling him to make his way into the test arena. Upon arriving at the arena, the examiner tells Lucas to attack the doll with his full magical power, and they are going to evaluate its destructive force to produce his final grade. Since he can't use magic, Lucas asks the examiner if he can use physical attacks instead. When the other students hear this, they start laughing at Lucas because he is seriously daring to take the test with a physical strike. They consider this a barbaric art and use that to talk down on martial artists in general. One of them believes that Lucas is just going to break his hand, and that will be the end of it. While they are all mocking Lucas, Julia hears this and stares at them with her side eyes, causing them to quickly rearrange themselves. Julia is pissed that Lucas told her to behave at the school because she would easily beat all of them up. Just then, Iwa asks Julia if it is true that Lucas can't use magic because Iwa can't believe that someone without magic is able to block her mental magic. Julia then tells Iwa that her brother really can't use magic. but he is still amazing. Nonetheless, Iowa believes that Julia has been tricked by her brother because there is no way a martial artist can do anything impressive. Suddenly, a loud bang hits the test area, shocking everyone present as they wonder what just happened. 2 minutes earlier, the examiner had told him that his method of attack didn't matter. Lucas acknowledges this, and he figures out that he should have enough power to deal with the dummy. Lucas then gets himself into position, and he dashes toward the dummy, landing a powerful punch that sends it into the distance. The dummy hits the wall and displays a golden light on its head. When Iowa sees this, she is ultimately shocked because Lucas's speed was comparable to high-ranking wind magic. In addition, the dummy glowed gold, which means the attack hit with curse-class power. Even the other candidates who were watching couldn't believe their eyes because there is no way a talentless dude is damaging a dummy. It then dawns on Iowa that she is the only one who noticed Lucas's true ability. Iowa could also sense that Lucas is trying to keep his abilities hidden because he is not even bragging about it. To the examiner, he assumes that the dummy malfunctioned, but he tells Lucas that he is going to give him the perfect score. Lucas thanks him for this and then asks where he should put the fallen dummy. The examiner lets him know that he doesn't have to worry about this because it is too heavy and they are going to move it with magic. Lucas then makes the peace sign to his sister through the screen after seeing that he managed to keep his strength hidden while also obtaining a score that is high enough for him to be granted admission into the academy. As the exams went on, everyone totally forgot about Lucas's power and focused on Julia's overwhelming talent. When Julia walked to the front to display her power, she unleashed red lightning, which is pretty powerful and second only to the gold thunder. The students are all impressed when they see this, and one of them even wishes that she could at least reach Julia's current level before graduating. After showing her extraordinary power, Julia sits down, totally stunned by what just happened. When it is time to grade her, the examiner announces that she scored 9.5. When Julia reunites with her brother, she talks to him about the red lightning, saying she could only produce purple lightning in the past, even when she was pushing at full force. Julia talks about how fierce the red lightning is, and unknown to her, the pill Lucas gave her earlier is what boosted her strength, but he decides not to tell her about it. Apparently, in this world, both the mages and the martial artists have their own pharmaceutical skills. For the mages, they practice potion alchemy, and for the martial artists, they use Dan refining. Basically, magic potions always need a medium, but pills made by martial artists can be directly absorbed into the body. It turns out that in the past, there used to be a lot of pills, but after the decline in martial arts, Dan refinement is almost a lost art. It is very rare to see a martial artist capable of creating a magic storage pill that can boost someone's abilities like Julia's. This is because a martial artist has to reach level 6 before they can make such a pill. Basically, there is only one other person in the Empire aside from Lucas who can make the pills, and this is the only level 9 martial artist alive, Duke Retsuzan, who is the Minister of Martial Affairs. It turns out that even the greatest mages lower their heads and beg Retsuzan for magic pills, and if people find out that Lucas can make the pills, there is definitely going to be a lot of chaos, which is why it has to stay a secret. Shortly afterward, Lucas and Julia sit on a bench to rest, and Lucas lets her know that she will soon get enough rest once they retire to the dorms, which is after the class assignments. Just then, Mina shows up, and Lucas asks her what she is doing there. Mina replies that she is there to post the class assignments, and she congratulates them, saying they both ranked first in the elite and the martial arts classes. Julia celebrates really hard when she hears this, and Lucas congratulates her before telling her that he is going to be counting on her. Mina then asks Julia if she has any department she would be willing to join next year, and this confuses Julia. Mina doesn't hesitate to explain to her that there are 5 departments, and they are Earth, Fire, Wind, Water, and Special. Mina lets her know that after a year, everyone is sorted into a department based on another set of tests. Julia thinks about it for a minute and replies that, according to her attribute, it would be good for her to choose Wind, and Mina excitedly agrees with her since she got the blessing of the Thunder God. Mina grabs her, shaking her out of excitement, while telling her that she is going to be waiting in the wind department. Lucas is surprised to see that the departments are already hustling to secure Julia, who is the top talent. Mina then offers to take Julia to the girls' dorm, and Julia bids her brother farewell, telling him that they are going to see each other later. Lucas waves to his sister, urging Mina to take care of her. Lucas also decides to head to the martial arts dorm, and elsewhere, Iowa has checked the results. She realizes that Julia came first, but she is not ready to give up because she believes that she is going to take first place in the coming years. Moments later, Lucas arrives at the martial arts department, and even though he wasn't expecting much, he was left totally disappointed because the whole building looked like a rat house. He wonders if they can even live in such a damned place that looks like it is about to collapse. On the bright side, Lucas believes that he would be able to live peacefully without anyone having to bother him. Lucas enters the building only to run into a white-haired dude who excitedly introduces himself as Kai Taroi, who claims that he is also in the martial arts department. After shaking hands with the dude, Lucas simply moves over to the desk to sign whatever he's supposed to sign, but Kai remains glued to him, talking about how impressive it is that Lucas punched the test dummy. Lucas acts humbly, telling Kai that there is nothing special about it because he only got lucky. The attendant then tells the two that they are going to be staying in room 205, which means Kai and Lucas are going to be sharing a room. While Kai is excited about the whole experience, Lucas is dreading it already. As they walk through the lobby, they can't believe just how much worse the whole thing is. They finally arrive at their room only to find out that they are going to be sharing the room with two other dudes, Collins and Sharp. As if this is not enough, the entire room is a mess, as if a pig had previously lived there. Kai holds his nose in disgust and even almost faints when he sees a spider hanging down a wall. Frustrated by everything, Kai whips out a gold coin, saying he is willing to offer the coin to anyone who cleans the room. Surprisingly, Collins and Sharp waste no time in offering that they are going to clean the room. Lucas is not surprised by this because Collins and Sharp are both commoners, and the money will go a long way for them. It turns out that the Toroi family is also one of the three great noble houses of the Empire's north. While Collins and Sharp are busy cleaning the room, Kai is venting out his frustration, talking about how he didn't sign up for living in a dump. Lucas tries to calm him down, telling him that the situation would eventually improve given the school's reputation. Kai agrees with him, but just as he is about to relax, another spider appears beside him, causing him to scream out like a girl, while complaining that the dorm is basically a prison. Not long after this, Sharp and Collins finish cleaning the room, and just as promised, Kai pays them their fee. Even Lucas gets a share of the money, and even though Kai is arrogant, he has no choice but to admit that he is quite generous. Just then, the attendant shows up to deliver their uniforms, and he urges them to change into the uniform so that they can attend the entrance ceremony taking place in the hall. Kai's blood pressure rises again when he sees the dirty and tattered uniform that was provided for them. Collins and Sharp cannot even complain because it looks good to them. Lucas then tells Kai that the school has a system where they can listen to student requests, and if they ask for better treatment there, Lucas is convinced that they can get their uniforms changed. When Kai hears this, he suggests that they hurry to the hall so that they can complain, and Lucas can't believe just how gullible the dude is. Shortly afterward, Lucas and his roommates arrive at the hall with their trash-looking uniform. Collins is blown away by how luxurious the hall is, but Kai says the hall is nothing compared to his house. Meanwhile, Lucas is trying to locate his sister, and when Kai notices this, he lets him know that his sister is seated in the front row where the elite course students are seated. Kai also notices that their uniforms are different, and he suggests that Lucas talk to his sister before the ceremony begins, since the martial arts students are seated far away from the front row. However, Lucas says there is no need for this and suggests that they return to their seats. Deep down, Lucas is glad to see his sister wearing such a prestigious uniform. Once Lucas and his roommates are seated, he notices a girl who appears to also be in the martial arts department seated close to them. Not long after this, the student council president, Theod Formal, shows up in a cool-looking way to introduce the school's point system to the students. The students are all blown away by how cool-looking Theod is because he has also reached level 6 before graduation, which means he is a genius. Theod then starts by informing the students that the point system in the school is fundamental to almost everything, from the magic skills, precious books, subordinate magical beasts, and rare materials. In fact, all of these, including guidance from great masters, can be obtained with points. He continues by saying there are many ways to earn points, but points earned through labor are only 1 to 5 points per hour, which is extremely low. Rather than labor, it is more efficient to earn points by participating in events for each department. He mentions that the orientation being held for the new students that very day is prime earning time for current students. Lucas finally understands why Mina was helping them. Theod continues further, saying that if a student becomes a student council member, they are going to receive a stable monthly point income. The president is going to get 500 points per month, while the vice president gets 200 points per month, and the members get 100 points per month. To round it all off, he mentions that there is the risky method, which is monster hunting. Apparently, there is a magical beast mountain range located behind the school. This mountain is famous for housing several magical beasts. Theod says if the students hunt beasts there and submit the materials, they are going to receive corresponding points. When Lucas hears this, he immediately becomes interested because he considers it a training ground made just for him. Several hours later, Lucas is able to sneak out of his room thanks to the effects of the tranquility incense that he lit up in the room, causing his roommates to sleep soundly. He is excited to visit the magical Beast Mountain range, and when he gets to the back of the school, he runs into a tall wall. However, this is nothing to hold a determined Lucas back. He easily leaps past the wall, and with excitement written all over his face, he lands in the magical forest. The first monster he comes across is a horned frog, and Lucas toys around with the monster before easily pulling out its horn, leaving it incapacitated. The horns of the poisonous black horn frog are said to be commonly used in magic potion concoction, and Lucas believes that they would fetch him some really nice points. Lucas has found out that the school has legendary martial arts manuals in its collection, which is why he needs to earn points to obtain the skills that were rumored to have been used by the martial god. Since he is running on borrowed time, Lucas decides to quickly assess the locations of the magical beasts, and using his overpowered eyes, he is able to pinpoint the locations of the monsters in his surroundings. Roaming around is the level 1 shell mouse, level 2 one-eyed bat, level 3 magic crest leopard, but all of them pose no danger to Lucas as he trashes all of them pretty easily. All of the monsters he meets are one-shotted with ease, and in no time, he has gathered a big haul. He is confident that he can exchange the materials for points so he can get ingredients for Dan refining. Nonetheless, Lucas doesn't feel fulfilled as he notices that the whole area is strangely quiet. In addition, there are extremely few traces of magical beasts, leaving him to wonder if there is a powerful magical beast living in the area. Lucas then employs his sharp senses to see if there is any, and he soon locates one hiding out in a cave. At the same time, the beast locks onto Lucas, but Lucas doesn't mind as he dashes toward the cave, which is 1 kilometer away. Upon reaching there, he realizes that the beast is a level 6 ice fire wolf, and it looks pretty dangerous. Lucas finally understands why the beast has a strong sense of territory, and this is because it is a wolf. However, Lucas is a battle maniac, and he wastes no time lunging toward the wolf. The wolf then meets him halfway with an ice breath freezing up his right arm. Surprisingly, this isn't enough to stop Lucas, who still lands a powerful punch on the wolf's jaw to send it flying into the distance. Lucas is a bit disappointed in himself that all he could do was send the wolf flying without being able to punch a hole in its body. Excited to use the wolf for training, Lucas tells it to get back on its knees because he is pretty sure that it is not done yet. The wolf gets back on its feet and fires off a powerful flame at Lucas, totally leaving him shrouded in flames. The wolf maintains the fire breath for a couple of minutes to make sure it kills Lucas. When the wolf believes that Lucas has been taken care of, it raises its head to howl in victory, but before it knows it, Lucas appears behind it. By the time the wolf realizes this, Lucas has closed in on it, and he delivers a powerful punch imbued with chi on its body. This punch is powerful enough to cause the wolf to cough up blood, and the force from the punch also sends it flying really far into the distance. This leaves the wolf on its back, and Lucas commends it for being able to freely manipulate opposing attributes like fire and ice skillfully. While receiving praise from Lucas, what the wolf sees is an overwhelming horror-like figure standing above it. Nonetheless, the wolf still tries to fight back by unleashing a combination of ice and fire at Lucas to create water vapor. However, Lucas easily dispels this, and when the wolf sees this, it tries to escape, but Lucas chases it down. Lucas easily grabs its tail and gives it a proper WWE smackdown. Even though Lucas is fighting a large magical beast, he doesn't feel any kind of threat, and he is even exhilarated. Lucas is already seeing the wolf as a large portion of points to be obtained, but suddenly the wolf sends him into the wall with a powerful wave blast. Believing that it had cornered Lucas, the wolf unleashes a powerful flame breath, but Lucas easily dodges the flame and leaps toward the wolf. Desperate to keep Lucas away, the wolf releases another blast of flames, but Lucas moves through the flames this time around. By going through the waves, Lucas closes the gap between himself and the wolf. Lucas then punches the wolf so hard that it destroys the ground it is standing on, releasing a massive shockwave. Lucas doesn't stop as he punches the wolf in the head again, and at this point, the wolf realizes that death is coming for him if it continues this way. It immediately decides to employ the last tactic it has, and it raises its arms to surrender. The wolf then bows before Lucas before releasing a blue and red core. Lucas is surprised to see this because magical beasts in this world are sometimes born with a core inside their bodies. This is basically a rare magical material that becomes the beast's lifelong source of power. But if even one drop of human blood touches the beast's core, the magical beast becomes the human's subordinate. Seeing the wolf release its cores tells Lucas that it actually wants him to become his subordinate. Since the wolf has surrendered itself, Lucas decides to accept it as his subordinate. Lucas considers this a rare find because even among mages, it is rare to have a level 6 subordinate magical beast. However, Lucas believes that the wolf is not very intelligent because strong magical beasts are always proud and would never submit to humans. Just as the wolf wanted, Lucas cuts his blood and combines it with the cores, giving off a bright light. When everything settles down, the wolf swallows the cores again. Suddenly, Lucas hears someone calling him master, and he is confused. But the wolf lets him know that it is the one talking to him. It then dawns on Lucas that he can finally understand the wolf's words. Lucas is proud of the wolf, and he decides to call it Uru. Since he is now Uru's master, Lucas wonders if everything in the territory also belongs to him. Lucas wonders if Uru has collected anything useful over time, and just then Uru tells Lucas to follow it because its treasure is located deep in the cave. Lucas arrives at Uru's supposed treasure room, and he finds a bunch of materials ranging from pelts to bones and even gemstones. Lucas starts drooling when he sees this because he has just stumbled upon a treasure trove. Just then, Uru tells him that what he is looking at is not his real treasure trove. It then shows Lucas its real treasure trove, which is filled with beast cores of level 3 beasts, and there are even 2 level 6 cores in the cave. Uru then reveals that it ate the water and fire attribute beast cores to level up. When Lucas hears this, he figures out that to level up, a beast has to eat beast cores from magical beasts of equal or greater strength than itself. This means Uru killed at least 2 opponents of equal strength, which is a really good feat. As a reward, Lucas feeds Uru recovery medicine that works on magical beasts too. Lucas then tells Uru to continue guarding the treasures in the cave while it is busy recuperating. Uru then tells Lucas that he can trust it with the mission since it is his first mission. The next day, Lucas arrived at the classroom, and even though he was up all night, he didn't suffer any fatigue thanks to the tranquility incense. Soon afterward, the students start complaining that time is running out, and the teacher has not even shown up for their first lesson. Kai is pissed at this, and he wastes no time assuming that the administration has forgotten to assign a teacher for the martial arts department. Moments later, a drunk dude enters the room, introducing himself to the students as Sigald, revealing that he is their homeroom teacher. When Kai sees the drunk dude, he cannot believe that he is supposed to be their homeroom teacher because Sigald appears to be dirty. Suddenly, Sigald screams out loudly, almost turning Kai into a deaf dude. When Lucas sees this, he figures out that Sigald's movements show that he is at least a level 5 or 6 martial artist. Sigald then tells Kai that there is no talking in his class without his permission. After saying this, Sigald starts taking his attendance, and the kid Lucas saw at the entrance ceremony, Teishi, is the first to answer the attendance list. After Sigald is done calling out the attendance, he is pleased to see that everyone is present. Just as he is about to start the lesson, he realizes that he has forgotten his textbook, and he decides to appoint Teishi as the class representative so she can go to his research lab and get the textbook. Teishi is shocked to hear this, and she is forced to ask again if the teacher meant what he said. Sigald confirms this, but Kai gets mad. He gets off his seat, saying the class representative should be decided fairly through competition among candidates. Kai starts boasting, talking about his pedigree and ability, saying all of these should qualify him as the class representative. Just then, Sigald hits him in the head with a projectile, reminding him that he already said there is no talking in class without his permission. As he leaves the room, Sigald tells Teishi to distribute the textbooks to everyone and have them study on their own. Teishi is proud of herself because not only did she pass the entrance exam, but she was also chosen as the class representative. Teishi then vows to change her fate with the opportunity she has been given. Meanwhile, Kai is still nursing his swollen head, and Lucas mentions that something is off about the teacher. Kai immediately agrees to this, suggesting that they report Sigald to the administration so that he can be fired. However, Lucas is left analyzing the situation, and he figures out that Sigald has suffered serious injuries before, which is why he moves the way he does. This leaves Lucas wondering just how strong Sigald was before he got injured. Lucas then tells Kai that he has no intention of reporting Sigald because deep down, Lucas is excited to see what Sigald has to offer. Several hours later, Kai and Lucas are seen in front of the cafeteria. Kai complains bitterly about how Sigald left them to self-study for hours. Kai considers Sigald an irresponsible teacher who even decides who is going to be their class representative. While Kai is busy raging about this, Lucas meets with his sister, and he pats her on the head, asking her how her first class went. Julia reveals that her homeroom teacher, Linda, is such a nice person because she cheered her on to motivate her into becoming the class representative the following week. This only gives Kai more avenues to talk because class representatives are always chosen 1 week after enrollment. Julia is surprised that the class representative of the martial arts class has already been decided, and she asks Lucas if he is the one. However, Lucas lets her know that he is not the one. Lucas then suggests that they head to the cafeteria to eat, because he heard that the cafeteria's food is pretty good. It turns out that meals at the school also follow the point exchange system, and new students who just enrolled without any points can exchange cash for points, but this is only once. Surprisingly, the exchange rate differs for each department. Julia ends up getting a really nice meal, which she consumes excitedly. Apparently, for 1 coin, other departments get 100 points, but the martial arts departments get just 10 points. Kai cannot believe that even the teachers discriminated against the martial arts students. One of the teachers tells the complaining martial arts student that status doesn't matter in the school because everything revolves around points. While eating the dry bread that he got, Kai concludes that enrolling at the school is more or less giving up on his human rights. Julia pities how bad Kai looks, and she even offers him her food. Kai shed tears as he declared that Julia is such a nice girl. Moments later, Maya shows up, and Julia suggests that they eat together, but Maya reveals that she has already eaten, so she is fine. Maya then mentions that she baked cookies as thanks for helping her the other day. She asks Julia if she is interested, and she excitedly accepts the cookie. Lucas also accepts the cookie, and he commends Maya's skill, saying the cookies are delicious. Kai, being Kai, jumps in to collect cookies, and after tasting it, he mentions that the quality rivals the Teroy family's special sweets. Kai and Maya end up getting to know each other, and Kai teases Lucas for knowing such a beautiful lady as Maya. Unknown to the dude, he just doesn't know Maya, but she was once his fiancée, and Lucas obviously cannot say. After Maya is done feeding them cookies, she leaves, and Lucas finally gets to breathe a bit. Lucas figures out that the cafeteria is basically a hotspot for meeting familiar faces. Just as he predicted, Mina soon shows up, and not long after this, Theod also moves around the cafeteria just to aura farm by flying around with his fire magic. When Lucas sees this, he realizes that Theod is a dude who likes to show off. However, Lucas has already lost all respect for him because after the entrance ceremony, he overheard the fact that Theod is only able to use level 6 magic thanks to medicine. Lucas is busy eating when he notices Sigurd exiting the cafeteria, and he wonders where he is going. Meanwhile, the teachers are also complaining about Sigurd's trashy behavior, but some sympathize with Sigurd because they know he only changed after what happened to him. Sigurd soon joins the other teachers and the headmaster. Once they are all present, the headmaster lets the teachers know that their agenda for the day is all about the magical beast taming tournament. It is no news that magical beasts frequently attack in the Carmina Empire, and because of this, taming skills are required. This also makes it an annual tradition for Allen Magic School's new students to participate in the Magical Beast Taming Tournament. Julia's homeroom teacher then reveals that over 2,000 level 1 magical beasts have been prepared for the competition. She suggests that they hold the tournament in the next 6 days just as they usually do. One of the teachers, Greg, then cuts in saying he is fine with holding the tournament in the next 6 days, but he believes that the martial arts students do not need to participate because they can't compete against magical beasts. However, Siegel disagrees with his take. Greg tries to act cool, saying he was thinking of the students while making the suggestion, but Linda cuts in, telling Greg that Siegel is right. Linda tells Greg that as new students of the school, the martial arts students are allowed to participate. Another teacher agrees with Linda, saying all the students should be treated equally. Deep down, Greg is pissed when he hears this because he can't believe that there are still teachers who agree with Sigalt, especially Linda. Greg believes Linda is supporting Sigalt because she believes that he can go back to his former self, who was a level 8 powerhouse. Greg has no choice but to back off, but he believes that the martial arts students will just break down in tears after seeing the monsters. With everyone agreeing to it, the headmaster makes it official that the martial arts students will be participating. After the meeting, one of the teachers approached Linda, asking her if she was really okay with the martial arts students participating in the tournament because Greg kind of had a point in what he said. Another teacher tells Linda that it is true that martial arts require real combat, but reminds Linda that the magical beast taming tournament is harsh. Linda then smiles, telling them that a long time ago someone taught her that a coward without spirit to overcome difficulties has no right to call themselves a martial artist, and this person is none other than Siegelt. Linda adds that any student who refuses to participate in the tournament will eventually be expelled from the martial arts department by him. When Siegalt returns to class, he lets the students know about the beast taming tournament. Because of this, Siegelt tells the students that they are going to be doing combat training outside, and he is going to make sure all of them have the strength to defeat magical beasts. Just as usual, Kai opens his big mouth to talk about the issue of the class representative, saying the tournament is usually held to decide the class representative. Since their class representative has been decided, he mentions that they have no reason to participate, but Siegelt hits him in the head again to silence him. Lucas, on the other hand, is thinking about the combat training, and he is worried about how he is going to hold back to make sure he doesn't blow away his sparring partners. Moments later, they report to the training grounds, and after observing Teishi for a few minutes, Lucas realizes that Teishi is pretty strong, and it appears that he is the only one even stronger than her in the class. This then tells Lucas that Siegelt knows what he was doing when he picked Teishi as the class representative. After hours of training, the bell for lunch finally rings, and Siegelt tells them that training is over. Kai thanks his stars because he is already excited about the whole thing. Collins and Sharp then reveal that they are heading to the cafeteria. Collins tells Kai that they are going to bring food for him, as promised. Sharp is shocked when he hears this, forcing him to ask Collins if he made another deal with Kai. Kai then reveals that he told Collins to bring back 2 points worth of food in exchange for 2 coins. This is basically a situation where Collins saves money and Kai saves points, so he considers it a win-win situation. Sharp is pained when he hears this because he would have jumped on the deal if he knew about it too. Collins smiles and then tells Sharp that he will leave him to take the next one. Deep down, Lucas sees Collins as a very smart dude because he is making pocket money properly while keeping human relations smooth. Kai then walks over to Lucas, talking about how smart he is because of the deal he made. He even suggests that Lucas follow his footsteps, but Lucas ignores the advice, leaving Kai in the cold. Kai initially wants to feel bad, but then he comes to the conclusion that Lucas has a sister in the elite course, so he doesn't even need to worry about points. However, Kai doesn't know he is totally wrong about this, because without Julia, Lucas would still not go hungry. Lucas can easily step into the forest and just hunt down beasts to make himself a nice meal. While roasting meat on the fire, he remembers that Mina was trying to get close to Julia again. Because of this, Lucas figures out that he has to stay on guard to make sure that Mina has no ill intentions. Just then, Lucas notices that Uru is already drooling from looking at the meat being prepared on the fire. Lucas then decides to feed him, because he is such a nice beast. Lucas then tells Uru that after he is done eating, he will have to spar with him in training, but he promises to go easy on him. Uru is already crapping himself when he hears this. Meanwhile, at the Ryan family estate, Holt notices that his wife, Catherine, is feeling sad because of the children, and since she is missing them that much, he suggests they go visit them. Holt mentions he is passing through Dacktown for work, so he is going to take her. Catherine is happy to hear this, and she hugs her husband, thanking him. Elsewhere at Count Grind's estate, a group of masked noble ladies is seen meeting, and one of them is Holt's second wife, Jessica. The leader of the group is none other than the Demon Lady, who is slowly gathering her power. She offers the ladies drinks, telling them that it is the new Jade Dream, and the moment they drink it, their whole body will start to glow. Unknown to them, the drink is none other than her blood, and knowing fully well that women will do anything to obtain the glass body, she uses this to her advantage. Once they have all consumed the drinks, she suggests that they start the day's game. Later on, the Demon Lady calls Jessica into her room to ask her questions about how Julia survived the bandits' attack. In Jessica's story, she tells the lady that it was Julia who defeated the bandits because she received a level 7 blessing. This is when it dawns on the lady that Julia inherited Miranda's family talent, but at the same time she doesn't think it is possible for a level 7 to defeat the bandit leader. The lady then asks Jessica if she would like to kill Catherine and her daughter so she can become the Baroness. Jessica confirms this while asking the lady what she is supposed to do to achieve this. Just like the evil lady she is, she immediately crafts her insignia on Jessica, ultimately putting her under her control. Back at the academy, Teishi informs her classmates that they are going to be continuing combat training that morning, and Kai and the others complain about how tedious the whole thing is. One student reveals that his whole body is sore, and another dude reveals that he couldn't even sleep all through the night. Teishi admits that the training is cruel, but she lets them know that it is all to improve their abilities, and because of this, she urges them to do their best. Meanwhile, Lucas's roommates are all fine, and they immediately assume that they are fine because they are tougher than anyone else. Unknown to them, they are hale and healthy thanks to the tranquility incense that Kai used in the room. Even Teishi assumes that Lucas and his classmates have good stamina because they all look fine. Moments later, training begins, and Kai pairs up with Lucas. Kai charges at him as usual, but Kai easily pushes him backwards. The spar between the two continues, and Kai believes that he is holding his own, but little does he know that Lucas is really holding back against him. As the fight continues, Lucas notices that there is someone watching him from a distance. It turns out that he is right because there is an old man sitting under a tree in the distance, and he is watching everything that they are doing. Kai notices that Lucas is distracted, and he tries to use this opportunity to land a strike, but Lucas's reflexes are way above his level, and he easily dodges the punch, causing Kai to crash to the ground. However, Kai gets back on his feet, saying the fight continues until there is a definite victor. Lucas gets back into position, and he accepts the challenge. It turns out that the old man who was watching Lucas is known as Otani, and on his way back to the library he runs into Mina, who offers to walk him, but he refuses the gesture. It turns out that Otani has already figured out that Lucas is hiding his true abilities, and because of this, Otani decides that he is going to continue monitoring Lucas. Hours later, they finally get to finish combat training, and fortunately for them, Sigelt had taught them massage techniques. Thanks to this, everyone is able to relieve their tense muscles, and Lucas believes that this is a good deal, because everyone else will forget that only he and his roommates were energetic in the morning. Lucas then decides that it is time for him to build his new training ground. But to do this, he figures out that he needs to buy materials for the training ground. Apparently, the school's magic shop has a lot of rare items that are not readily available to the general public. Upon entering the shop, Lucas is impressed by how spacious it is, and he compares it to a shopping mall. Lucas looks around and realizes that the items in the shop are a bit expensive, and given how things are, there is the possibility that he is going to be spending 100 points a month. Even though Julia gets tons of points, Lucas knows that he can't always rely on her because if her allowance runs out, it will be very bad. Lucas then decides to buy only magic potions for the day, and the next time he comes, he is going to exchange materials stored in Uru's cave for points. The attendant is busy sleeping when Lucas shows up at her desk with a bunch of items, telling her that he wants to buy them. After checking out the items, the lady reveals that the total cost for everything is 5 points. The lady notices that Lucas is from the martial arts department because of his uniform, and since they can only spend 10 points, he is already using half of the points all at once. After Lucas is done paying, he proceeds to leave. But as he reaches the door, the lady urges him to be careful with his spending, because he might just regret it later. Lucas just smiles at the lady, telling her that the things he bought are not even enough, and he is still going to come back to buy more. At the same time, the lady is surprised that Lucas bought a lot of potion items when the martial arts class doesn't even make them. She wonders how Lucas is going to use the items, but she just assumes that Lucas is spending recklessly because he is a noble. Later on, Lucas makes his way to Uru's cave, and he mixes the potions in a bath to soak in the medicinal effects. After he is done bathing, he realizes that there are still a few effects left, and it would be wasteful to throw away the water. At the same time, he can't just feed someone bathwater to drink. After stepping out of the bath, Lucas is thinking about his next move when he senses something weird behind him. He turns around to see that Uru is drinking the bathwater, and before he knows it, Uru has finished it. Lucas is initially disgusted, but then he pats Uru on the head, telling him that the water would actually strengthen his body too. Uru excitedly thanks his master before revealing that he wants beef. Lucas is just glad that the bathwater issue has been solved, and he plans to exchange the materials in the cave for points during low traffic hours. He also plans to hide whatever tools he bought at the materials shop near the dorm. After this, he plans to transport them to the cave at night. When Lucas bought the training dummy, he easily lifted it on his arm even though it was heavy, and the attendant offered to help him move it with magic. The teacher waves at him, calling him a good boy, while urging him to come back anytime he wants. Lucas has managed to escape suspicion because the shop attendant believes that he got the materials from his family. Not long after this, Sigurd is seen scolding his students for slacking off, reminding them that the taming tournament is the next day. He tells them that they are free to drop out if they are not ready for training. Sigurd walks around the training ground giving advice to the students he believes are lacking. He scolds Kai, telling him that he is so weak, but Kai argues, saying he has actually beaten Lucas, Sharp, and Collins. This only earns him another painful flick to the head to send him crying to the ground. Sigurd then turns to Kai's roommates, telling them that he is disappointed that they even lost to a weakling like Kai. Unknown to him, Sharp and Collins intentionally lost because of the money they were getting, and Lucas just didn't want any trouble. To curb the situation, Sigurd tells Teishi to spar with Kai. Kai excitedly walks to the training ground, telling Teishi that he has no intention of holding back because he is going to prove to her that he is more suitable to be the class representative. The spar begins, and Kai makes his move, blindly charging toward Teishi. Kai believes that he has landed a hit, but to his surprise, Teishi easily dodges and lands a counterattack on his belly. Kai then frantically throws a straight kick at Teishi, but this only earns him a counter kick to the head, resetting whatever trash sits in his brain. Kai still wants to fight back, but Teishi shows him that she is above him by smacking him into the wall with a palm strike. When the other students see how capable Teishi is, they finally understand why Sigurd chose her as the class representative. Sigurd then tells the class that they need to give it their all because magical beasts won't show any mercy to them. On the other hand, Lucas has already analyzed the fight, and he realizes that Kai went all out from the start without any defense, which is what Teishi exploited to beat him. After the sparring session, Teishi walks up to Kai to ask him if he is fine. However, Kai remains silent, and Sigurd figures out that he is pissed. Sigurd then tells the students that they are required to tame at least one magical beast during the tournament because failure to do this means they are out of the martial arts department. As Sigurd leaves the training ground, he tells the students to stay and train till nightfall. After his departure, Lucas walks up to Kai, and before Kai can say anything, Lucas lets him know that his defense is completely lacking. Lucas lets him know that if he fixes the bad habit and attacks the enemy's weak points, he is going to be fine. Suddenly, Kai tells Lucas that he is getting it all wrong. Kai boldly reveals that he has fallen for Teishi because she is the first girl who has kicked him in his entire life. He adds that Teishi's moves are also cool, and because of how much he has fallen, he has even thought of names for their kids. This is when it finally dawns on Lucas that Kai is a hopeless masochist. The next day, the students report to the arena, and they are blown away by how big the arena is, leaving them to wonder just how many magical beasts are being kept there. Kai almost crapped his pants when he realized that there are literal terrifying beasts roaring below them. Meanwhile, Greg's students are pissed that martial arts students are allowed into the venue. They start trash-talking the martial arts students, but Sigurd stands up for his students, telling the fellows to drill the tournament rules into their heads instead of thinking about unnecessary things. Lucas is surprised to see Sigurd actually standing up for the martial arts students. Kai, on the other hand, talks about how nervous he is, but Lucas assures him that he is going to be fine. He tells Kai to think of the magical beasts as Sigurd, but Kai is confused when he hears this. Lucas explains to Kai that he should think of Sigurd when fighting the magical beasts. Kai is excited when he hears this, and he talks about how pumped he is. Meanwhile, Sigurd can actually hear them, but he doesn't mind. Lucas continues with the advice, telling Kai that low-level magical beasts can't break through his defense, and if he can focus on defending, he is definitely going to win. Kai accepts the advice, assuring Lucas that he is not going to make the same mistake he made while fighting Teishi. When Sigalt hears this, he realizes that Lucas is actually pretty good when it comes to giving advice. Moments later, the examiner shows up, and he tells the students that whoever tames 10 magical beasts will receive a perfect score. He adds that points will be deducted accordingly for those who kill any beast. He mentions that the time limit is 10 minutes, and if anyone gets injured during the test, they are to scream loudly for a teacher outside the arena. Once he is done explaining, he kicks off the tournament, telling the first group of competitors to enter. Julia is the first to enter, and she realizes that the test area is covered with a space barrier. She finally understands how they were able to fit 50 magical beasts in such a small building. The moment she steps into the area, the beasts are already roaring at her, but Julia is excited to take them on. She dashes at the beasts, unleashing a wave of lightning at them. Meanwhile, on the outside, the examiner tells the students that the beasts used in the taming tournament are coated with a special magic potion, and the moment the beast submits, vivid smoke rises from its body. The teachers outside the barrier make use of magic circles to sense the situation inside, which allows them to track each student's taming count and assign scores accordingly. 3 minutes later, Julia steps out of the exam venue after getting a perfect score. She immediately runs up to Linda, who tells her that she is amazing because she finished in just 3 minutes. Julia then reveals that she would like to check on her brother. She asks where the martial arts venue is located, and Linda reveals that they will be holding it at Venue 10. However, Linda lets her know that the martial arts students will enter last, so it might still take a while. Since this is the case, Julia decides to go get snacks first. Meanwhile, Iwa is eager to see if Lucas will do something extraordinary just as he did at the entrance ceremony. 2 hours later, the martial arts students are still waiting, and Kai talks about his worry. However, Lucas lets him know that there is nothing to worry about because in terms of actual ability, martial arts students are not inferior to the mage classes. Sigelt hears this, and he gets off his seat to clap for Lucas, then tells the rest of the students that they don't have to look down on themselves. He adds that the reason no one has been injured so far is that level 1 magical beasts can't hurt humans. Sigalt adds that martial artists are superior to low-level mages in terms of physical strength and close combat ability. The students are surprised to see Sigelt encouraging them, which is quite weird. Teishi also shows up, revealing that she has gone to check, and no one is injured. She mentions that most people are just exhausted from using too much magic power, and in addition she reveals that she picked up some important information. Apparently, the beast's movement range is restricted by barriers so that the students won't get surrounded, and if one thinks they can't win, they can just run from the spot and look for weaker beasts. Teishi lets them know that they are definitely going to score points if they manage their stamina and take it seriously. The students are happy to hear this, and they start hailing their class representative, calling her the best one ever. Deep down, Sigald is pleased that he chose Teishi because it appears to be the right call. Just then, Greg shows up to mock the class, telling them that they can only get grades by using trash methods. Sigalt is surprised to see Greg, and he asks him what he is doing there. Greg scornfully reveals that he is there to tell them that the martial arts department will be entering shortly. As he walks away, he mocks the students, telling them to work hard because the department might just disappear. He even adds that he doesn't mind if the martial arts department disappears because the department shouldn't have been established in the first place. Lucas is pissed when he hears this because he sees Greg as part of the same people who bullied him in his past life. Lucas then gets off his seat, and he tells Siegelt that he would like to enter the venue first, since he was ranked first in the class at the entrance ceremony. Siegelt lets him know that he can actually have someone else go ahead if he is nervous, but Lucas insists that he wants to be the first to enter. Lucas assures them that he is definitely going to get excellent results to take a dig at those who mock the martial arts department. The rest of the class is glad to hear this, and they cheer Lucas on, telling him to get it done. Sigalt was impressed to see this because the students had completely changed from their timid selves. 10 minutes later, Lucas enters the venue for the exam, and the moment he steps in, he realizes that there is a detection magic circle hanging above the space. He figures out that if he avoids the detection circle while he is moving, he won't have to worry about the teachers knowing what is happening inside the barrier. Lucas also knows that the moment a beast recognizes one as its master, their souls connect, making communication possible. This also allows for the temporary use of the beast's abilities. Uru is playing around in the cave when he notices that Lucas is using his power even though he is substantially stronger than Uru. The moment Lucas clouds himself in Uru's aura, the magic beasts start running for their lives, believing that they are under attack from a high-level magical beast. It turns out that it is Lucas's plan to mentally corner the magical beasts to crush their will to fight. And this is going to be possible by making them think there is a high-level magical beast in the area. Lucas is glad that Uru's power is coming in handy. which is ultimately causing the magical beasts to submit pretty easily. However, Lucas is not ready to step out until he makes all of the beasts in the venue submit. In addition, he blocks the magic potion smoke from leaking outside. After making an owl beast submit, Lucas tells it that they are going to see each other again later. But deep down, the beast is already crying because it never wants to see Lucas again. 5 minutes later, Lucas still hasn't gotten a point, and Kai is worried that Lucas might not be able to get it done. However, Julia shows up, telling Kai that he has nothing to worry about because Lucas will definitely get a perfect score just like she did. Seeing how things are going, Greg quickly rides the moment to make fun of the martial arts students, telling them that they are too weak to even beat the lowest level magical beasts. Greg says this is exactly why mages are superior, but Julia cuts in, telling Greg not to make fun of her brother. She admits that her brother might not be able to use magic, but he is definitely amazing. Greg is surprised to hear a mage defending a martial artist, and he believes that Linda's poor judgment is already rubbing off on her students. Greg then tells Julia that she might argue all she wants, but in the end, the result will speak for itself. Just then, the announcement comes on, telling everyone that Lucas has earned 1 point. Kai is glad to hear this because this means Lucas will be able to remain in the martial arts department. Greg still mocks them for celebrating 1 point because the highest point his class got was 5 points. Suddenly, the announcement comes in that Lucas has successively earned 4 more points, giving him 5 points in total. Greg almost loses his mind when he realizes that a martial arts student just got the same 5 points as the highest score in his class. Meanwhile, in the venue, Lucas figures out that he has been able to intimidate all of the beasts, which means his classmates can easily score points. Since he is done with this, he concludes that the last thing on the list is getting a perfect score. Lucas then runs a rampage against the beast, easily taming all of them until he gets the perfect score, which is 10. Greg's mouth is left wide open when Lucas actually came out with the perfect score, looking really sharp. Julia celebrates her brother's win, but she is not entirely surprised because she knows the type of person her brother is. Julia then rushes over to hug her brother, who pats her on the head. Greg immediately raises an argument, saying there is no way a martial arts freshman can make 10 magical beasts submit. Greg then turns to Sigalt, asking him if he did anything to sway the result in his favor. Sigalt is about to defend himself when the chief examiner steps forward, asking Greg if he is trying to say that he is a crooked examiner who accepts bribes and condones fraud. The moment Greg hears this, he realizes that the examiners are people he would not want to have issues with because of how capable they are. Greg then swallows back his statement, saying he didn't mean it that way. He claims that what he meant was that during the entrance exam, the dummy doll broke, and Lucas was able to get a perfect score, which is quite suspicious. Since Greg is concerned about the integrity of the exam venue, the examiner suggests that they inspect the barrier space. Kai cannot believe that they are seriously holding a review because a martial arts student got a perfect score. Lucas then tells Kai that they have nothing to worry about and they are free to inspect all they want because he has nothing to hide. 10 minutes later, the examiner opens the barrier space and the beasts immediately make an effort to escape, but they are all restrained. The examiner admits that the beasts are agitated, but they are not weakened enough to change venues. One of the examiners then asks the chief examiner if it is true that Lucas obtained the points legitimately, and the dude says he couldn't find anything wrong. However, he knows that something happened with the magical beasts. Since there is nothing to see, the examiner suggests that they continue the tournament, while the 10 beasts that were defeated by Lucas are put under inspection. The examiner then announces that the exam continues. Lucas is disappointed that they didn't find anything wrong, but this was still not enough for them to believe in his capabilities. However, he is not worried because the real surprise is just about to begin, since Teishi and the other students will start entering after him. Teishi excitedly rushes into the venue with the determination that she can't lose to Lucas. Upon entering, she goes after the beasts, aiming to make them submit in 30 seconds. The moment the monsters see Teishi, all they can see is Lucas all around her, and they start panicking. Before Teishi even touches them, they have started submitting. Teishi cannot believe that a level 3 dark wolf submitted to her easily when she hasn't even landed a hit. Teishi wonders if it is a coincidence or if it is a sign that martial arts students aren't that weak, contrary to what people believe. Teishi then goes after the beasts, forcing them to submit, and in no time, she also gets the perfect score of 10 points. The martial arts students start celebrating because they just recorded another perfect score, and her time was even shorter than Lucas's. The examiners are confused when they see this, and they decide to send the defeated beasts out for inspection too. Taishi steps out with a smile on her face after remembering what Lucas said about the beasts not being scary. This then creates a sense of confidence in Taishi that martial artists are not inferior to mages. After Teishi, Sharp, and Collins also scored perfect scores, the streak continued with Kai too.